Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
So reading from Srila Prabhupada Leela, the chapter is entitled Chant Hare Krishna Fight. Conditions of the Isabel in Bhubaneswar were primitive. 2 small mud-walled huts with thatched roofs. Srila Prabhupada occupied one 8-by-12 room in one of the cottages, and his servant and secretary stayed just on the other side of the wall. Electricity had been installed on the land a few days before, so Harisori had placed an electric lamp and the dictating machine on Prabhupada's desk. The second small building, about 25 feet from Prabhupada's hut, was a tiny temporary temple room. A shabby canvas roof spanned the open area between the 2 buildings, and Prabhupada's Vyasasan was beneath this, arranged so that he could lecture at outdoor gatherings. 2 rented tents also stood on the land to accommodate visiting devotees during Prabhupada's stay. Prabhupada's outdoor toilet facilities, about 25 feet behind his hut, consisted of a latrine and a separate area for bathing. Srila Prabhupada did not mind the primitive facilities. In fact, he liked them. Although he was ill and for personal comfort he could have been residing in his choice of comfortable buildings in the West, a manor in London, a castle in Paris, a penthouse apartment in New York City, he felt perfectly at home and happy living in a primitive mud and thatched hut on a secluded patch of land in the dust of Orissa. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So reading from Canto 5, Chapter 14, Text 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sa Mam Smritir Mriga Dehe Pi Vira Samam Smritir Mriga Dehe Pi Samam Smritir Mriga Dehe Pi Vira Krishna Archana Prabhava No Jahati Krishna Archana Prabhava No Jahati Ato Aham Jana Sangat Asango Ato Aham Jana Sangat Asango Vishankamano Vivritash Charami Vishankamano Vivritash Charami Samam Smriti Mrika Dehe Pivira Krishna Chanat Prabhavat No Jahati Atodham Jana Sangata Sango Vishankamano Vivritash Charami Samam Smritir Mrika Dehe Pivira Krishna Chana Prabhava No Jahati Ato Aham Jana Sangata Sango Vishankamano Vivritash Charami Samam Smritir Mrika Dehe Pivira Krishna Chana Prabhava No Jahati Ato Aham Jana Sangata Sango Vishankamano Vivritash Charami
Samam smriti mrigadehe pivira. Krishna archana prabhavano jahati. Ato aham jana sanghaya sangho. Vishankamano vivichascharami. Samam smriti mrigadehe pivira. Krishna prabhavano jahati. Ato aham jana sangho. Vishankamano vivichascharami.
Samam smriti mrigadehe pivira.
Samam smriti mrigadehe pivira.
Krishnachana prabhavano jahati.
Krishna prabhavano jahati.
Ato aham jana sangha sangho.
Ato aham jana sangho.
Vishankamano vivitastirami.
Vishankamano vivitashrami.
Samam smriti mrigadehe pivira.
Samam smriti mrigadehe.
Krishna Kachana Prabhava Rajahati.
Sakshina Prabhavana Jahati.
Ato aham jana sangha sangho.
Atodam Jana Sangha Sangha.
Visankamano vivitascarami.
Vishankamano vivitashrami.
Sa,
Sa,
that.
that,
Mam,
mam,
me, sorry, me. Smritir, smriti, remembrance of the activities of my previous life.
remembrance of the activities of my previous life.
Mrigadehe,
Mrigadehe,
in the body of a deer.
in the body of the deer.
Api,
Api,
although.
although.
Vira,
Vira,
O great hero.
O great hero.
Krishna Archana Prabhava,
Krishna archana prabhava.
which appeared because of the influence of sincere service to Krishna.
Which appeared because of the influence of sincere service to Krishna.
No Jahati,
No jahati,
did not leave.
did not leave.
Ato,
Ato,
therefore.
therefore.
Aham,
Aham,
I.
I.
Jana Sangat,
Jana sangat.
from the association of ordinary men.
From the association of ordinary men.
Asanga,
Sangha,
completely detached.
completely detached.
Vishankamana,
Vishankamana,
being afraid.
being afraid.
Avivrita,
Avivrita,
unobserved by others.
unobserved by others.
Charami,
Rami,
I go here and there.
Guruvaya.
Translation, purport by Srila Prabhupada. My dear heroic king, due to my past sincere service to the Lord, I could remember everything of my past life, even while in the body of a deer. Because I am aware of the fall down in my past life, I always keep myself separate from the association of ordinary men. Being afraid of their bad materialistic association, I wander alone, unnoticed by others. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Svalpama apyasya dharmasya. It is certainly a great fall down to go from human life to animal life. But in the case of Bharat Maharaj or any devotee, devotional service to the Lord never goes in vain. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 8.6, Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam chantit kalevaram. At the time of death, by nature's law, the mind is absorbed in a certain type of thinking. This may lead one to animal life, yet for a devotee there is no loss. Even though Bharat Maharaj received the body of a deer, he didn't forget his position. Consequently, in the body of a deer, he was very careful to remember the cause of his fall down. As a result, he was given a chance to be born in a family of very pure Brahmins. Thus, his service to the Lord never went in vain. Vanchikaupatrubhischa kripa sindhupi eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So here we see Bharat Maharaj. He's explained so much of the philosophy. Now he's retelling his own experience, his own history, and here we see how he's referring to himself as we see the power of bhakti, and we also see the power of bad association, and how the mind is if we have control of it, then we can control our destiny. But if there's a lack of control, then we're at the mercy of the material energy. But also how if a devotee, if by any practice of devotional service, that never goes away. So if one isn't successful, he takes his birth again, and gets given the opportunity to continue where he left off. So we're so fortunate to have such knowledge being by the causeless mercy of Srila Prabhupada being given to us, because we find in modern society there's no such information about the soul. For example, when Jad Bharat, he's saying, I could remember everything of my past life. So he's not talking about I, the body. He's speaking as knowing as his conscious of his real identity as the soul, passing through different forms of life. And we see in modern day society that there's some knowledge of reincarnation and karma just now, but still the vast population of the planet has no idea why they're in the body that they're in at present, and they have no idea what they can do to control their destiny, what to speak of knowing what the ultimate destination is. So we find in different religions give some knowledge that there is a God, there's some supreme being. Some give reference to reincarnation and the eternality of the soul, but it's not something that's shared or discussed or preached. Like you see, there's they consider that there's just one life, and they don't accept cremation because they want to preserve the body as much as possible, so that there's a resurrection of the body and things like this. So the goal of life becomes confused. especially as they may be told that we're being given this life, this world to enjoy. So the consciousness there is one of enjoyment rather than one of gratitude for the person who was able, who created it for our benefit. So in the so as a result of such a lack of knowledge, the success of a civilization is considered according to how sophisticated a materialistic lifestyle they had, and commodities and so on like this. And so, with in such a hedonistic outlook, then what we consider the four pillars of the four pillars of materialistic life stand strong, like meat eating, illicit sex life, gambling, and intoxication. And as a result, this is encouraged even by governments. Whereas in previous ages, the governments were one of where they would would protect the spiritual elevation of the populace and see that they were materially had the materially well situated to support it. They would even battles would be fought to see who would protect the citizens the best, which is very much contrary to what we see nowadays. So Prabhupada would say that a secular government should be one that would encourage the practice of any religion, just that would be monitored, so that they would practice it as stated in their scripture. Just like how businesses should be monitored in such a way that they make products that aren't going to be harmful, they're according to certain standards, and that they don't, their profit margins aren't so sky high. So the Vedas are in the three modes of divided into the three modes of nature, so that those within those relevant modes would be able to know what to do to elevate themselves to a higher mode or to spiritual consciousness. And one such example is how someone who is attached to eating meat would, according to it's not that meat eating would be unrestricted. So to curb that tendency, then taking the authority of the Vedas, accepting the authority of the Vedas, people would kill an animal. Before they would do so, they would whisper in its ear, I am killing you, so that in the future you will kill me. So this is to allow the person to come to the point to say, well, hey, wait a minute, what am I doing here? just ensuring my murder in future lives. But this actually would for the animal, it would be like something like a goat or a sheep or something like that. And so that animal who would be killed in this way, he would skip a few lifetimes due to his karma to come to the human form, and the person killing would lose his any evolution upwards in the evolutionary scale, and would go downward to an animal form. So such intricacies of the laws of nature, the laws of karma, and so on, is so there's no this, as Prabhupada used to say, there's no university telling people of the point of life, the point of living, and this education on the soul, and how where our real home is, and our real spiritual nature of eternity, bliss and knowledge. So, as we've heard before, the power of bhakti, it comes from association of those who are practicing sincerely bhakti yoga. So, due to lack of association, such association, Bharat Maharaj fell down to the body entered the body of a deer. So, so now he's saying how he's so cautious to in his present life to avoid bad or materialistic association, and by basically trying to be incognito. So it's also stressing the importance to trying to make it in one life, to be successful in this this life in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada would say, just give this one life to Krishna. And so by being here, it's obvious that we didn't make it the last time. It said how if we're practicing Krishna consciousness now, it means that we've had some association of it in previous lives to come to this point. So if we're conscious of how the material energy is making bad and materialistic association so much easier, like it's even called the World Wide Web, so when you, and the experiences there when you surf, as they say, surf the web, but it's actually, in actuality, it's one that's getting more entangled, just like a spider in its web. The insect, once it touches it, and then every move it makes, makes it more entangled in its web, and eventually becomes prey for the spider. So, similarly, if we take association of that's made materialistic association made so accessible and easy, and even unconsciously can be associating in something that's averse to Krishna consciousness. And so in this way, our enthusiasm, our chances for elevation are robbed from us. So what to speak of now, and Kali Yuga progressing at such a rate that it sees its own destruction, but still it's like it's more people becoming more and more conscious of the suicide course that the planet is on, environmentally, socially, psychologically, and still there's not that, still the push for materialistic enjoyment reigns supreme. It's a battle for people to be able to contact the help they need to be able to disentangle themselves from this the web of the form that conducted by the three modes of material nature. And threefold miseries of the mind, disturbances to the body, and outside phenomena can be so overwhelming that people find it so the pressure so great that they even kill themselves because of that, those feelings of being overwhelmed. And if they don't do that, then it's they abuse themselves, they abuse others, and it's a very, very kind of sad situation. So is this what we want to come back to in a more advanced stage if we were to not make it in this life? So every chance we have to be able to progress, and is very much encouraged. That's why Prabhupada created this ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, so that people would have easy access to the ocean of mercy that's being given by Lord Chaitanya in his chanting of the holy names and association of like-minded devotees that would encourage and enthuse us to take every opportunity to make whatever progress we can in this lifetime, and to minimize to be able to recognize and minimize any association that would take that away from us or make us distant from it. So any comments or questions at this point?
Thank you very much. Nice things to contemplate there. I think you brought up this statement by Srila Prabhupada, which he made many, many times whenever he was travelling to different countries and lecturing in different universities, that there's nowhere, is there any department in any university which actually studies the science of the soul. And it is actually a very extraordinary fact. It's a little bit like, the most wonderful thing in the world is that everyone's going to die and nobody thinks that they're going to die. And it is a very incredible thing, because throughout Western education, going back to like the Greek and Roman times, philosophers have been talking about the soul, and it has been a major part of the writings of philosophers and novelists and historians, but it's never actually been part of any kind of systematic education. So it's quite an extraordinary thing, and it is so extraordinary that it almost seems like it's meant to be like that. So is the material world, and even now in India, like we can see how the Indian culture is so heavily influenced by materialism. So is it not the case that the material world is actually meant to be a place of like illusion? And are we, what hope have we got to fight against that tide of like ignorance and denial? Is it something that we need to address like on It's done like on an international scale or just on in our personal lives. How should we cope with that lack of acceptance of that fundamental understanding of reincarnation?
Well, we had kind of maybe respond to that. Is that the soul, every soul has been given free will that Krishna won't interfere with, and if that education isn't there, then there isn't really any choice. They don't have a choice really, just about illusion, and it's up to the devotees to be able to present Krishna consciousness. So and then they have a choice, and then still it's up to them to choose. And that's why this is so important, this Sankirtan movement, to be able to give people opportunity of knowledge of who they really are as this spirit soul, that they're just selling themselves short for a life of in the material world where everything is temporary, full of ignorance and misery. That's the only kind of option they've got just now. That's the only option they've got just now. So unless the devotee enters their life, then they only have choice. And things will continue as they are. It's Kali Yuga and so on. So that's the driving force for this age, an age of ignorance and hypocrisy and quarrel. So there's just going to be that increasing amount unless the devotee steps in. Do you have any other light on that?
It just seems that we're in although history is always repeating itself according to the Vedic conception of like the egos, because of the internet, it seems like a very usual situation that people have access to the historical documents of the world going back at least a couple of thousand years, and they can study all of the different cultures and all of the different political changes in history, and they can like have a view of everything. Srila Prabhupada always seems to bring it to very, very basic principles, and I think that's really what's lacking. It's like that. It's that simplicity. I feel that simplicity of Srila Prabhupada's message, I think, is something we can take shelter of. That even if we feel unqualified in terms of our academic qualifications, or in terms of some of the people that we're coming in contact with who may have many academic qualifications or professional qualifications. But the simplicity of Srila Prabhupada's just stressing this point of we're not the body, and that we don't know what our next destination is going to be. I think it's like, considering how learned Srila Prabhupada was, and how much access he had to all of the great thinkers of the Vedic tradition, but still he chose very simple examples and like stressed the same point over and over again. And so I think that's encouraging, actually.
In other examples, I'd like to say that he likes to say how unless people give up eating meat, what's the point of giving them any other knowledge? Especially to Christians. If they're following it, then they wouldn't be eating meat. But show me the real Christian, I would say. But from what I hear, it's becoming, people are, because of the internet, positive side of the internet is that people want to know something else other than the mainstream history that they've been taught at schools and things like this, that the untold the history of the world or the untold knowledge about reincarnation or karma and so on. So younger generations are taking more interest in these things. But still, there's so many charlatan people out there that give their version that isn't authentic or authoritative. So there's this problem of what is. And again, then really fortunate that Prabhupada and the devotees are wanting to take that drive to make it more accessible on the internet, because that's means like before it was like the shopping malls and the high street, but now it seems to be the internet to give that message and make it more accessible. So it's important for us to be trapped as a, just like Krishna gave us this world to enjoy, but at the same time, the proper use of that, those gifts is to show gratitude by offering them back in return. So similarly, we've been given this knowledge, and it's helping us to, in unfathomable ways, in so many ways, that it's saving us from so much karma that we might maybe endure, so much suffering as a result. So out of gratitude, in whatever way we can, in whatever opportunities we have, according to our capacity, to be able to share this knowledge with others. And in this way, the Krishna consciousness will spread and benefit so many other personalities. One person was asked why is there so many problems in the world, and their answer was, because I'm not pure. I'm not a pure person. So, because it's just like, if everybody was clean and had led a life of hygienic life, then something like a pandemic would have reached so much proportions of being so global. So similarly, by our words we can make someone feel sad or make someone feel happy, and it can have a chain reaction. So because someone's had a bad day, then they take on some kind of negative behaviour and it affects others, and then they get affected by it. So it's like a chain reaction. So similarly, whatever we can give out there, whether it's a word or a sentence or an exemplary behaviour, that's all going to have rippling effects all around the planet. Just like a simple virus, it started with 2 people and then it's spread around the planet. So similarly, the power of sound is much more than that. And the more we can put it out there, then the more people will at least be, they may not be consciously aware, but they'll shake their worldview or conceptions, put doubt in their conceptions or their worldview of life, so that it may cause them to question, do some research, and as soon as one has some inclination of the Lord of the heart, he always facilitates it. He'll put them in the path of devotee or path of a book, and then they have the choice to accept or reject that opportunity, that arrangement that's been made. So in this way, Krishna is in control, and no matter what the situation is, how dire it seems to be, Krishna isn't restricted by that. So that's the faith that we can have, that we whatever endeavour we make, that there's it's a deposit in our spiritual bank account, and the more we put in there, the more closer we're getting to Krishna, and the more, like it says, take one step to him, and he takes 10 steps towards us. And there's never a point in time when we're, no matter that, that we become unworthy of his mercy. There's a story of a prisoner who was on death row. Must have committed some horrific crime, and the devotees in that country were doing some prison preaching, and he totally transformed to a point where he still received it. It didn't take away the death sentence, but he knew that he wasn't going to die. And the guards couldn't believe it, because usually when someone actually is their turn for the electric chair, they have to have so many guards to control them. They're just struggling like anything. Whereas this person became a devotee, and he just walked and just chatted along the way, sort of thing, and took what he was due, fixing his consciousness. So that's the power of bhakti. I heard something nice that Krishna loves us as we are, but he loves us too much for us to remain that way. He wants, yeah, he wants us back to him more than we want to go. It's like the deities. If we're not a Mangalati, they're wondering where we are. It's we come to see them, but they also wanting to see us also, so it's a kind of relationship. So that's why deity worship is there, to allow us to develop a personal relationship with Krishna, because we can't see him face to face. He's everywhere. He's in our heart. So, but we're so covered by the illusion of material energy, our bad association with material energy, that we can't see him. But he's so merciful that he comes in a form made of matter, that he's accepted to be different than himself, so that we can sing for him, we can dress him, we can make a nice garland for him, we can grow the flowers for him, we can arrange for their foodstuffs, that the nice offerings can be made for them. We can polish their paraphernalia. We can clean the temple for them, keep the grounds nice for them. Everything here is their property. So everything is, every little thing that we do, even if it's that little piece of litter that we pick up from the ground, that's for Krishna's pleasure, to increase the to keep it nice for him. So this is how intimate the relationship we have is with Krishna, but because of our association with matter or materialistic outlets, our mind is dulled, and becomes unconscious of that relationship, which is very sweet, and by that connection we get a taste of how we are eternal. We get a taste of how we are full of bliss, and get a taste of how we are full of knowledge. So that's it.
Just a comment from Laura, that she made 15 minutes ago, and it's actually very similar with what you just said very recently. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for class. I heard such a nice quote while listening to podcast with Namarastu. Krishna loves us just the way we are, and he loves us too much to let us stay that. So he gives us the ways and strength to help us progress, to get out of the entanglement of the material world, and to always think of him, but he loves us anyway.
Yeah, so because sometimes we can be, the modes of material energies are there, and we feel happy, we feel sad, we feel angry, we feel envious, and so on. And all these things kind of cover and cloud our consciousness. So, but it says how everything is Krishna's energy, and he can use these emotions to as information. If rather than getting carried away with the emotion, we can see ourselves as separate from it, as we are, being the soul, and consider why we're experiencing this, and maybe there's some need that's not being met. So in this way, we can go beyond the emotion and see maybe Krishna's trying to tell me something. Because it's because of these things that we kind of give up and switch on the TV just to zone out, or take a drug, and so on, just to be able to kind of block these things. But they come up again and again and again. So maybe if we're meant to address it, so that we can go deeper and see what the need is. Like in simple forms, it could be we're feeling irritable or so on, but maybe because we're just tired and we need some rest, or we're not getting the rest we need. So something has to be, some other arrangement has to be made so that that can be facilitated. So, and also maybe anger, in the sense of something's not going my way, but it's not. It's something that we need to do something about, rather than let it come to the point where that we want an object to leash our anger on. In this way we can keep the mind equipoised, and so well practiced at doing that, so that we, like it says, Dehinasmin yata dehe ghomanam yavanam chana tata janchana set praktitiris tachanamuyati. So as the embodied continued passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, similarly the soul passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So that sobriety doesn't come by chance. It's something that has to be practiced. So within this life, we're getting so many tests to see if we'll remain sober, or if we'll become intoxicated by a certain emotion, whether it's anger or pride or all these things. So for some false sense of reality. So, and then, as it says, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and due course, and their disappearance in due course is like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, as sun bright, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So tolerance has to be there also. Sometimes we can't do anything about something straight away, so, or it's something we can't do anything about at all. A loved one's passed away or things like this. So Krishna's saying here that one has to tolerate these emotions and not see them as ourselves or identify them or be disturbed by them. A person who's not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. So this is Krishna here saying how to maintain that sober state, to not be intoxicated by happiness and not be so disturbed by any distress. Because we're trying to stick with that which is eternal, to keep to maintain our relationship with Krishna, and not to become an associate of the material energy. Because that's what happens when we're intoxicated by happiness. We think, yeah, we've made it, success, and then forgetting that everything in this world is temporary. So it can be taken away at least at death. So with such steadiness of mind, then one is considered intelligent, because one is uses one's discrimination to see matter from spirit and not be bewildered by the upheavals of the material energy, but having confidence of the process of devotional service, and confidence in association, and confidence in the sastra, and continuing enthusiastically and with determination. Success is just a matter of time. So let's stop there. Thank you for your attention. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, ISKCON Guru Vrinda ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premananda.